I think there is evidence across the world that says the people that started using their data, regardless of the challenges of the data early, and continuously use that data, and therefore the value of that data was recognized, do have better data,
Yeah.
have better systems, and and as we sort of saying here, they have better performance.
Mm.
However, it is not a 1 year journey.
No,
It
it's
is
not.
a commitment over time, and you're going to take on the different challenges of you know that whole buy-in of stakeholders.
Mm.
The uh, that's not what my engineering judgment is.
Mm.
And a raft of other rather challenges along that way. But ultimately, it's the use of the data in parallel to its improvement, which we found was the most effective way forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You get very frustrated. As a consultant, you get very frustrated. Internally in these organizations, they get very frustrated because they lose the focus of what they're trying to achieve. And it becomes all about this thing called data. And, oh, it's 2 years out of date. We need to go out and collect some more. Well, no, some of it you do, some of it you don't. Chop it up and deal with the stuff that you don't know. But get on and do it. And that's my
Yes.
message, fundamental message to them. Doesn't matter how bad the data is, unless it's woeful, start and build on it. Recognize your weaknesses and focus on that. Don't focus on everything and say, well, I've got to go out and collect some more data. Yeah, but what and why? All those sorts of things. It's about getting that foundation from my point of view. If you get the foundation, you can go on and do marvelous things if you've got the right tools, because that is also a stumbling block I've found. And you also get, a new director will walk into an organization. They've used one software. This one's just embedded software, and it's 5 years down the track. They're about to go live. And the director says, "Oh, don't use that. We use this one. Go out and market and get that." So you suddenly 5 years back, working on the systems and selecting a system, going through all that process, and then, well, now we've got to move the data across. Is it going to give us what we need?
One of the things I would never have said with my previous hat on is that in some cases it's system agnostic.
Yeah.
Especially in the field of asset investment planning, you can do so much with all the tools.
Yeah.
And it's what you put around the tool that counts rather than the tool.
Yeah.
And it's going to take you 5-10 years to break any of those tools from
Absolutely.
from a functionality perspective, because they're very powerful.
They are, and it becomes then an issue of processes and people. Are these people skills to use that information? Are they engineers, or dare I say it, should they be data analysts to give the engineer what they need? There's all those sorts of things. We're now starting. I said 20 years ago at the City of Adelaide, when I was working there, I said, look, you'll know you're on the verge of doing good asset management when the expertise of your staff changes. Suddenly you don't need, so many engineers at the top, or you don't need so many at the bottom. You've got planners doing it. You've got analysts providing the information. You've got system specialists doing it. Most of the time, I think, and people might shoot me, is we're dealing with people who aren't skilled enough, or they're the wrong type of people doing it. Why would you spend, in a consulting world, why would you spend $200 an hour to play with data? And that's being a little bit facetious, because if you know your data, you can get a lot of results for $200 an hour. So why would you do that? You've got to ask that question. It should be asked internally as well. What on earth have we got people with engineering degrees sitting at the desk playing with the data? Give it to the people who know. Give it to the people who can look at the quality of the data and say, right, we need to do this, or we need to do that. We can analyze the data, and here's your forward projections at the moment. Yes, there's a level of confidence of X, but we'll just increase that over time and give the directors the confidence that they're getting the right results or results they can work with, and they're confident. I think that's half the battle. You know, some of my clients might hate me at the moment, but I'm not naming anything, but it's true. That's what I've found. You've got people in the wrong positions. They're not only driving the software, they're also trying to analyze the data. They can't get reports out of the system. Luckily, that's changing. I mean, you go back 30 years when they first came into Australia, and it was woeful. And it wasn't because of the software; it was where the people were putting the data. Some of the systems you can put it in several places, but you couldn't report over those 3 places or 2 places. So I know a client who couldn't get a list of all their pumps out of the system. That's all they wanted because they'd been putting them, and it took me a few years to work this out. They'd been putting them in different locations, and they didn't realise that. So of course they couldn't get the list of all their pumps. But then they go and throw the software away, and then they start again. Yeah, it's an ongoing frustration. I personally, after 40 years, and I haven't got 40 years left. Maybe I have, but it'd be nice to actually be moving a lot forward, a lot more forward, and a lot faster. From my perspective, I said to myself when I got into this game, if I'm still dealing with the same questions 5 years on, something's gone wrong. Well, it's not 5 years on; it's 40 years on. So it's still getting asked the same questions. I'd like it now. Some of the clients, and I'm talking local government here, are starting to employ data analysts, business analysts, not the run-of-the-mill engineer. And I'm finding that quite positive because they are starting to get stuff out of the systems.
I mean, my experience and when we first started Seams, we came straight out of university, and we took on the challenge of recruitment, targeting graduates, which in hindsight, may not have been the most efficient solution. However, the longer term benefits of that is that we now have people who were brought up in that analytical data environment who are now in quite senior posts in companies across both Australia and the UK at this particular point. So that movement of call them data savvy individuals is starting to appear.
Yeah.
And I do think that there is a natural time lag between that what the graduates come out as and when they get into those influential positions. So I think that there is a natural cycle to this. Then of course companies move at different paces. No, all companies are good at one thing, but not all things.
Yeah.
And some will have that emphasis around the data, and they will chase the people.
Yeah.
So I do think that there's that natural cycle that we're going to go through. Because a case in point, a similar story to yourself. My PhD was done with data from a particular water company here.
Yep.
And I think the work I did back in, that was mid to late 90s, is comparable to what's currently happening. So, I was in the academic sphere, but, coming back to, a similar story to yourself, yes, we are still having the same discussions, but I equally think that's, the way things are in terms of how companies evolve.
Yeah.
Because you can't do everything.
No, that's right. And, the one thing I am grateful is we don't have to argue the case of whether or not to do asset management. It's recognised, and it's recognised globally. Most of the people in Australia don't, I'll spend an hour a night, doesn't matter if I've got time, I'll do it anyway, looking at what other people are doing around the world. and talking, and this was set up for that purpose. So I'm passing on, not through me, but through the people who have been around the world and working around the world to other people, so they can recognize there is differences in what we do, but there are people out there that are moving leaps and bounds that are way ahead of us in some respects, because they've tackled it at the appropriate levels, and they're making it happen.
I think we've also got to see that this is an ongoing journey. Not everyone at the end of the journey.
Oh no.
Because coming back to is asset management recognized? Yes. Okay. Are we truly getting the maximum value out of our assets across their life cycle? No.
No.
And
Enjoyed this video? Press the like button and subscribe. If you'd like to see more, please click on the Patreon link below and sign up.